that southern rotation, the role to post in those channels. There is a role that we can give to people, but just anyone who has a role, we just ask that you only post like relevant links and things, no just like side chats and off topic stuff. But yeah, I see him in here. Nice. Well, yeah, I mean, I know what you mean about like the idea of the center and everything going out, but I'm just saying like that actual AE like land layout. But are you just more like the idea that there's a center? That there's one center?
Yeah, I'm convinced through deductive reasoning, even though I've never been there, that there is a center to the cosmos. That this idea of Rupes Negadel, Mount Meru, Shambhala, Mount Zion, or what do they call Asgard, Midgard? They all have their own versions of it.
Is he speaking in tongues again?
The different cultures all had different names for the same region, right? Which is where around Polaris. A lot of people talk about Polaris. I don't know if it's Polaris itself, but around that area, there's literally like a center. Now there could be another rotation towards the south. Fine. There seems to be actually 4 or 5 on the around, right? But there's a center focus, right, to all of reality, and where there's something significant there, Gio. Right? All the ancients understood that there was like this ethereal mountain there of great interest.
Did you post something, Lyon?
No, if you go down on research databases, ancient cosmology, it's already there. Just there's a whole list, dude. I could read it, but I don't want to bore you guys.
I just posted in the chat the link to that room if you want, or you can scroll down, but just link to it. Yeah, dude. Well, no, I hear you on that. I guess the thing, how would that reconcile with? Well, let me ask you this: like, so in the like, if you're in Canada, or if you're in Russia, or Alaska, you can all look at Polaris, and you can see the Big Dipper and the rotation. And you would agree that if everybody went from Canada north towards Polaris, went from Russia north, that you would all end up at like essentially under Polaris if you kept going? You'd meet at the same place?
Bro, there's people out here. Or go ahead.
If 2 people both traveled to Polaris and they were from where? I'm sorry.
Like somebody from Canada and somebody from Russia. And they would all end up in the same place. So that would mean that like it's a real rotation, there's one place, etc. So in the South, if someone's in South Africa, someone's in South America, and someone's in Australia, they also see a rotation, the southern one. If they all go south, do they end up at the same place? Like the South Pole, they call it, the Amundsen Scott Station?
No, dude. The South Pole is something different, dude. I can't explain that yet.
Oh, there's people.
You're saying they would not end up at the same place? You don't think?
Not that. Nah, man.
They'd be on the outer rim of an AE. You're saying they'd all be in 3 dramatically opposite places around the outside?
Well, I've read this before. I'll read it again. This is from the book Terra Firma. Some people are familiar with it. The Earth, Not a Planet. 1901. David Wardlaw Scott. It says, so it is in this world of ours, from the extreme south, we can sail from east to west, or from west to east around it, but we cannot sail from north to south, or from south to north. For we cannot break through intervening lands, nor pass the impenetrable ramparts of ice and rocks which enclose the great southern circumference.
Okay.
I mean, isn't that just talking about the icy, rough waters that they can't go up and down through?
We don't know the reasons why people haven't been able to circumnavigate the South, but the fact is that you can't circumnavigate the South.
Well, okay, so I guess like if somebody paid for you and other people or whoever to go from Africa towards that southern rotation center, and then someone else from South America and someone else from Australia, and if you did all end up in the same place and you shook hands and you all confirmed that you went south and et cetera, what would that mean? I mean, would that change your view?
Dude, if
you did that
you
yourself?
well, if you could, I mean, I'm not sure what you're saying, but if you could circumnavigate the south, like go from um 80 degrees parallel, right, to 80 degrees parallel, just straight through 90 degrees north, right? So straight from 80 to 90 to 80 on the other side
Of the South Pole?
of the South Pole.
Yeah.
If you could do that, right, that would basically mean you're on a globe, dude,
Or a dual pole, planar
or a
Earth.
dual pole.
Right.
I don't think that's been done. I don't know anybody that actually. I mean, I've heard of cases where people have been to the South Pole and they filmed the sky, like that one dude on Vimeo. I forget his name.
Well, what I'm saying,
But
like, if someone's in South Africa, they're chilling, they see that southern rotation. Someone else is in South America, they're chilling, they see that southern rotation of stars. Somebody else is in Australia, they're chilling, they see that southern rotation of stars. And if all of those say, I'm just walking towards that rotation, I'm going. I'm taking a boat, a plane, a train. Well, you're not gonna take a train, but you're gonna take whatever, and you're gonna just go. You're gonna keep following, and you're just gonna go to that Sigma Octantis. And if all those people do that, and they all end up and they shake hands at what they call the Edmondson Scott Station, 90 South, they all do that and shake hands. What does that mean for the AE or for the dual pole or for, yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like, would you agree that would only really work on a globe or a dual pole, planar Earth?
Logically, within reason, logically speaking, right? If the distances were correct, right, according to the globe model, and you were to circumnavigate or meet up at the South Pole, then you're in a freaking globe, dude.
You would go globe instead of a dual pole planar Earth, though?
Yes, dude. If the distances are correct, and you had people, equilaterally, distant, equidistant from the South Pole, all traveling towards the South Pole, all from 80 degrees parallel, right? You're in a, if the distances are correct, I would say that, yeah, you're probably on a globe. I couldn't conclude that, but I would, logically speaking, I couldn't reasonably infer that you're on a globe, dude.
So you would go
Yeah, Geo,
globe
because then
instead of a well, because we know on a planar Earth, if you all go towards the North Pole, you would all end up there and shake hands. So if you all go there in the South Pole as well, and you go there and shake hands, you would go globe instead of a dual pole flat Earth.
because you'd have to invoke some kind of, unless you want to invoke a Pac-Man when you go the opposite way, you would have to
Yeah.
kind of think.
The
What
most
opposite way? You
reasonable
mean north to
position.
south? You mean north to south?
No, because you're thinking of it from like, okay, yeah. If you're saying we all head south, like we're looking at a compass and it's taking us towards the pole, but if you're in the northern side and um you go the opposite way and you still end up hitting the south pole, because even on dual pole, right? There's got to be an edge, right? Or if not an edge, you would just keep going, I guess. But even at that point, you would realize your distances aren't matching up. So you're either heading towards an edge or an infinite plane, or you're Pac-Manning, even on a dual pole.
Wait, I'm not really following what you're saying. Sorry, I don't know if Lyon, if you want, what? Because I was actually looking for an image real quick. Sorry.
No, I'm trying to follow him too. I'm not entirely sure what you're saying. If we started at what parallel? 80 degrees north, and then traveled to 90 degrees south. So over the equator, then south. Is that what you
Right.
said?
Well, a dual pole would have the same problem as the Gleason, right? Where if you go outward away from the center, away from the poles, it's either going to
Yes.
be infinite or you're going to Pac-Man.
Yeah, I get that. And yeah, you are correct. And if we all met at 90 degrees south, and we all traveled the same distance, the same amount of time, I would reasonably infer that we're on a globe.
Well, wait, why is
Yeah.
that the case? Hold on. So I'm posting this image real quick
Because it would be the most
in the chat.
it would be the most reasonable position, right? Using the less amount of steps, Occam's razor, etc., right? Without having to invoke extra things, right? So without having to invoke Pac-Man or portals or anything like that to make it work with the boundaries at the extremities of the dual pool, I would infer, rather than infer that, I would infer globe if I was to be empirical in my analysis.
All right, but the I hear you on like what happens at the outer rims or like the extents and so on, like the Pac-Man concept. I get it. Okay, Gatebreaker just posted something. If you see what I posted in the chat real quick, I just took this basic kind of dual pole type layout, these azimuthal equal area type projection thing, and I just drew arrows. So I hear what you're saying about the outer rim, like the Pacific Rim, because the Pacific Ocean is the rim. I do hear you on that. Like, how would you fly from like Sydney, Australia to Hawaii? You know what I mean? You'd have to like, you'd either have to loop around the long way around South America, or you'd have to go up around like Japan and or you would, on the globe, you would just go straight and then end up right there. So I hear you. If you went straight on this, you would go off the map, then you'd have to enter over where Hawaii is. I hear you on that whole thing. I'm not really addressing that at the moment. I don't, that is, I know that's a thing with this whole layout that is a big question. But I'm just talking about like I drew those arrows. I mean, are you disagreeing though that, with this type of layout? I mean, dude, we have two huge rotations of stars in the sky. It's just a fact. Anyone can see them from anywhere. There's two massive rotations. And there, as far as I know, there's one GP for every star. So that the second rotation is not like moving, like it's there. It seems fixed. There does seem to be a south pole, the 90 degrees south. I mean, ALE has a trip where you can ski the last degree, they call it. You can go from 89 to 90 and so on. Witsit was, when he was in Union Glacier, there was that woman that was there that said she was flying to the 90 South. Once someone wants to pay the $100,000 to do that trip to go to the 90 South, that'd be cool. Get a bunch of footage of the sun there and stuff. It's like 80 grand or 100 grand to do that trip, and so on. And then there's a trip there's a White Desert from South Africa that takes you also to their camps at like 72 degrees, and they have a short flight to the 90 South and so on. And then there's the McMurdo on the kind of Australian side. But I was just referring to this, like because this is kind of what I was asking you. Like if you went from Canada to the North Pole, from Europe to the North Pole, Russia, you would all end up at the same place. And then in the South, I drew those arrows in the South. So I hear you about the outer rim, like what happens, is it a Pac-Man? I get all that. But even just leaving that aside, I mean, would you guys agree that in theory, if we just leave the outer rim part out of it for a minute, like what would happen if you traveled, all that even, but with this layout, technically you could have all those points that would meet at a North Pole and all those points that would meet at the South Pole, the two massive rotations we see, just on that part alone?
I would say sure, yeah, but isn't there, I mean, not that we've personally done it, but isn't there people that have gone instead of going inward, they go outward and come out the other side. So I feel like the outward is the main discussion, like whether it's Pac-Man or globe, because if going to the poles works on both models, then it's kind of irrelevant. Because what does it solve to say I can go to the poles by going inward? It doesn't really solve anything.
Well, there's just a few issues at play. Number one is what happens when you walk towards these two huge star rotations, to the center of these rotations from these different continents. That's one whole thing. And it's sort of like the idea that you can do that in the north on the AE map, but on the AE map in the south, you would not end up in the same place. You would end up in three dramatically opposite sides of the rim of the ice wall kind of idea. So that's one thing. And then that's why I was saying if you do end up at a pole, then the continents would have to be laid out something like this. Like maybe not this exactly, but if you have a massive northern rotation, we all Russia, Europe, Canada. I mean, we all kind of know the northern rotation. We can all see it, and then everyone in the south can see the southern rotation. So if you all went towards that one, if it's not just like apparent or a reflection or some kind of moving thing, and it is actually a spot that you can get to the center of that rotation, then that would be the case. Now I understand why the idea of a globe fits with that. And then I also understand there's the other issues with this when you do this on a flat plane, when you have two poles, is that you have the outer rim issue with whether it Pac-Mans or what happens when you circumnavigate going outwards, like you were saying. I hear that. And then also what happens when you go north to south. If you were just to go directly north and south, what happens as well.
You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm making a quick image. I'm just going to post this one too. So
I got this last one I posted from Shane. He posted it, and I just downloaded it. But
this one,
I don't know.
I just drew lines on this. This one just shows like the two issues. Like if you were to go from Sydney in that lower right, the lower kind of southeast position of that arrow from Australia, and then you would pop over to Hawaii, because that's apparently like just a straight flight. When you look at it on a globe, yeah, it's just a straight line from Australia to Hawaii. But on this thing, yeah, you'd have to like somehow leap across. And then the north-south thing too. If you were to go at the North Pole and you start going north, what happens? Like you pop up on the other side of Antarctica. So that's like the north-south circumnavigation. Really, any circumnavigation going outwards, like Anchovy is saying, any outwards, you end up with like on a globe it wraps around. On this, like percentage, I think was talking about, almost like a Pac-Man thing where it's like one of those like kind of like a forest, like a forest where you just keep going and you end up in the same place, and it's like you don't know how it happened. Like that's kind of like a Pac-Man thing. But yeah, go ahead.
So when it comes to the Pac-Man thing, I don't really mind that idea. I just wouldn't apply it to our realm, right? You can apply it to the sky. You can have the sky Pac-Man. That's fine, because at the end of the day, Enoch said that the moon, right, there's nothing in her save her light. So the moon isn't a solid object. It's not a rock that you can land on. Okay, so I don't mind that stuff, Pac-Manning, right? Doing what it has to do, have the luminaries submerged in some type of super fluid inside of a crystalline structure that we're perceiving through multiple layers of glass, right? In a super fluid, right? So I don't know what's going on up there. All that stuff could be holographic in nature and projecting and Pac-Manning, but it ain't us doing it. Right? It ain't the ground. It ain't the Boeing 757, cross continental flight. It ain't that doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I agree with that because
go ahead.
Let's say we're looking at something in the sky, right? And we Pac-Man, wouldn't your view just instantly change? Because you're going to be warping to a whole new location, and how would GPS work at that point? So like Pac-Manning, I'm with Lyon here. Maybe if you want to say the sky or some other weird stuff's doing it, but down here, I don't think there's a chance for that.
It's just it says here from the same book, it says upon the principle as taught by scripture and common observations that the world is not a planet but consists of vast masses of land stretched out upon level seas, the north being the center of the system. It is evident that the degrees of longitude will gradually increase in width the whole way from the north center to the icy boundary of the great southern circumference. Now that is from Terra Firma, 1901.
Okay. David Wardlaw Scott.
Yeah, it's an old flat Earth book.
But is that script biblical or no? You're not okay. That's not.
Well, no, this isn't. Well, this is not exclusive to the. This concept isn't exclusive to the Hebrews, right?
I got it. I thought you had said something biblical. No, you're just quoting him, basically. Okay.
Well, upon the principle as taught by scripture, right? That the earth, according to Isaiah, is a circle carved in the deep. Like it's a circle that the Creator carved in the icy deep. Right now, did he carve a globe or did he carve a circle? That's a big debate. And they oh no, he talked about he carved a circle, dude. That's what it's a circle in the great deep.
Yeah. Well, I think I hear you. The thing is for the land to be laid out like the AE, though, it does have the consequence of if you all traveled south from those southern continents, you end up in three dramatically different places on the outer rim for what you're describing. So I'm just saying, like, if the facts are that the southern rotation is a rotation like the northern, and it has fixed GPs and it has fixed pole points, basically, like the Sigma Octantis versus the Polaris, then how could what you just said be the case? If they are actual rotations with fixed points? You know what I mean? So those aren't those contradictory, like in the physical world?
Yeah, there are things that I can't explain, but I haven't verified these observations for myself either. So I have to kind of rely on third parties that the distances, that the coordinates, and all these are correct. I don't know that, bro. Witsit talks about certain jet streams moving planes far quicker than what the GPS is recording, right? So I don't really know what's going on, dude. But the sky is not contingent to the earth. Like, it's not a direct parallel, right? The GPs of the stars aren't like direct. I don't consider them directly proportional to the surface area. You get what I'm saying? Like, the distances that they're giving us are pragmatic and have utility, and they've seemed to make it work. But I think that the time zones also come into play, and where they stitch the maps are in the middle of the ocean, like the middle of the Pacific. So it's kind of hard to really tell, because, like, obviously the distances on land are correct, right? Like, we can confirm that pretty much. But it's in the ocean, bro. It's the international date line. Because if you look at topographical maps of, like, Massachusetts, or a topographical map of Australia, when you look at those maps, right, of Australia, local maps, and then you could look at the Gleason map, dude. The Gleason map's all stretched out, dude. I brought this up before, right?
Yeah, the
Australia's
Gleason, like, I mean,
way
they say it's like a
distorted.
projection of a globe. There's that whole like thing of like the King's Decree, like in Gleason's book, and these like limitations they had. Because I mean, the Gleason's is pretty broken, like in terms of the equator distance, like the 24,900 miles of the equator. That would, that whole issue where like that would be a 4,000 mile radius from the equator to the North Pole, but they claim the distance is 6,200 miles from the equator to the North Pole. And you could check that fairly. Like, you could go to Ecuador and like fly a plane or drive your car from Ecuador all the way to 80 degrees north. Maybe you can't get to 90 easily, but you can get to 80. So you could do that in your own plane or your own car. And, if it was really 4,000 miles instead of 6,200, that's a huge discrepancy. And if it is 6,200, then the circumference either can't be 24,901, or the distance would have to be 4,000 instead of 6,200. So I mean, the Gleason's it doesn't even work with that. Like, it really is like a globe, because on a globe it would be 24,901. The 6,210 would be like the arc along the surface from the equator to the center, instead of on a flat plane. So the Gleason's doesn't even work with that as like a flat Earth map. It doesn't even work with those distances. So something would have to be off there or different. That's why it makes sense that it is kind of like a globe thing, flattened down in terms of the coordinates on that part of it.
But like, we can at least well, I can't confirm myself, but I think there's legitimate photography of Australia, for example, from really high up, like satellite photography, and you can see the contour. You can see Australia, its correct proportion, and it's nothing like the Gleason's map, man. In the Gleason's map, Australia is all stretched out, bro, distorted. And we have
'cause it's taking,
topographical maps, bro, of Australia. And we see, like, let me see if I can find a picture. I'll post it right now. Go ahead.
because it's like it stretches out the south, in some
So
way.
I'm pretty, I'm confident that this is what Australia looks like. Look. And I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
I've seen Puerto Rico, and I've seen Massachusetts, and I've seen like certain states from the sky, dude. I've seen the whole island, dude. So I know what it looks like, and I truly believe this is what Australia's correct proportions look like.
Yeah.
So how do we reconcile that, right? Well, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Some of the stitching for the maps, right? Just because Australia happens to work on the globe model, right? Doesn't mean the globe is true, because the stitching occurs out in the middle of the ocean, dude. So you have the topographical map of Australia, right? And then you put that, and then you have the topographical map of Asia and of Europe, and you stitch it all together, bro. Right? You have a blanket, you stitch it all together. Where the stitches are in the middle of the ocean. So then you can massage the distances out in the middle of the ocean. You can kind of make it work. You can twist this a little bit that way. You know, you could do what you have to do. Keep it all copacetic. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think is going on, but I'm not 100% sure. Because when they start talking about graticules and reverse reference frames, I mean, not reference frames, what's it called?
Yeah, these would all have to be things that would have to be all reconciled. Like, let's say you had $5 billion and you were going to put together a whole team and do a research group, and you were going to spend years and get all the best of the best people, and you were going to start doing a bunch of tests and all kinds of things. Um, all the things that would need to be done, like that we're talking about, like traveling in the south to the South Pole, measuring distances in the south between continents, doing plane flights independently and measuring things, um, you know, traveling across the Pacific, mapping the continent layouts, just to say a few, like on this topic. I mean, there's other things like interferometry and replicating Dayton Miller. And I mean, there's a million things that, the longer list, and also doing curvature tests, tangible physical measurements of water, of the surface, with more advanced equipment than has ever been done, that doesn't only depend on optics. So yeah, I mean, we may not get all the answers right now in this conversation, but I imagine you would agree, like once these things could start being done, like if you verify further that water's not curving, or even have that definitive, foreshore is not curving with physical, tangible measurements, then you'd have to equate that with the South Pole thing. And in terms of the South Pole and whether you all end up in the same places from those continents, then you'd have to figure out, the compass headings and the magnetic field, and then match that with distances between continents and so on, to start putting all that together. So it's like, and certain things would start to hash out. It's like, okay, if there is curved water, well, okay, then that brings the globe thing, but if there's not curved water, then no globe, And then if there is a South Pole, well, in terms of the AE map, well, that kind of puts the AE map into question, and then, then they'll, or if there isn't, or if you really are on the outer rim of a AE thing, well, then that puts the dual pole out of the question, and the globe out of the question. That would confirm the AE layout, and the list just goes on and on. You start kind of hashing these things through, and then the whole, like, I mean, if you came with flat water, flat ground, and you have a South Pole, now it's like, okay, well, no globe, and then the dual pole thing would be, because then the AE map would be out, and then the dual pole thing. But then it's like, okay, well, then what about this circumnavigation at the equator, and the Pac-Manning thing on the outer rim? Like, what's going on with that? Is there a barrier or a wall, or like, yeah, exactly. So I mean, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like all these things would have to
Why?
fall into some categories
Why wouldn't
of
you
placement.
just do the? Why wouldn't you just do the flight? Just do the north to south flight. Prove you can go around it. Then you know it was a ball or it wasn't. Period. I mean, then you can work on all the other shit that whatever. You know. I mean, does anybody realize, like, billions of people, at least millions, have traveled the what I consider the disc, east to west and west to east, like millions of times. People have circumnavigated it, but there's only like a handful of things, and that do the north to south thing. Does anybody have any question about, like, dude, you'd be doing that all the time? It'd be happening all the time. Now, maybe not as much as the east to west, but it would happen at least 1/20th of the time. You'd be taking a different route because it's a lot quicker. But they don't. They never do. They never will. Because it's not a ball.
Yeah, I hear you. North-south circumnavigation. Yeah, that would be problematic for an AE map, unless you had some kind of like, I guess, some kind of teleporting crazy thing, I guess. But yeah, that would be impossible for that. And then the dual pole thing, it would be either impossible or there would have to be some kind of teleporting, looping type effect. But of course, that would happen on a globe. So yeah, that would be another one of those things that would have to be kind of sorted through. And I do hear you. There are a couple claimed circumnavigations north to south, but it's very poorly kind of documented and shown to be the case, whereas the east to west is. So yeah, I mean that's. Are you saying that's like an argument for the AE layout? Basically, you're saying kind of thing?
pretty. Well, yeah, just that it's flat and you cannot get around, except one way around the disc. I'm just calling it a disc because that's kind of the layout. I just think, yeah, I don't care about the 24-hour sun. I don't give a shit what the sun's doing. Sorry, I just don't. I just think the sun's way it's not, dude. There's something up with it. It's just something we're just not going to figure out for some reason. God just doesn't want us to figure it out. But just the sheer amount of east to west trips that can be taken, and the sheer lack of the ones north to south. I mean, dude, there's none. Like none. Like why? Dude, it's so painfully obvious, you know?
Yeah, those east to west flights and west to east flights. Pac-Manning is not cute. No one's trying to be creative or unique bringing that up. It's being forced to due to the evidence that there are tons of planes every day going this way and then appearing at least where they are on the map on the other side. Or for the globe is just running your finger around it. Same thing with shipping boats, which there's a ton more of them. That's the reason for Pac-Man. Like no one's trying to. It's difficult to explain it, but in the dual pole setup, it has to Pac-Man due to just like I said, all those things. Now, one would want to avoid that, right? You just want to avoid it, not think about dual pole, not think about that. Just stick to the Gleason. But if one somehow, some way realizes that the Gleason is bad, terribly bad when it comes to the southern hemisphere, specifically around Antarctica, like really bad. It's not like 20% off here for magnetic declination, 30% off here for winds. It's like 7 times off. And so once that realization is made, which I could be wrong here, the person will want to figure out, okay, well, what is it then? I know Earth's a level stationary plane. I know the globe is false. Then how else could this thing be set up?
What are you saying when you say it's off by 7 times? How? Where do you get that?
I got you. Well, I'm not gonna give you evidence of how it's off 7 times. Well, ask your question again.
Yeah, he's just
Wondering why you said that. I'm like, well, where did you come up with that? 7 times off.
I think he's saying if do you want to post an image gatebreaker or do you want to respond? But I think he's just saying the distance. Post that one where you have like the AE. There's one that's really where it kind of shows the. I mean, dude, basically just if Antarctica is a continent.
Stop driving, but
like basically, yeah. Oh, you said you can't look at the chat.
I'll check that when I drive. Yeah, when I
stop. No, if you're driving, yeah, don't. Yeah.
I'll check it out when I get stop at a light.
No, it's just the basic thing. Like, okay, on a general globe or a dual pole, those maintain Antarctica as a continent, the way the globe claims it, the way the pictures show it, the way whatever. And if it is a continent, it would have a circumference around it that you could travel in a boat or a plane or whatever. And you could say, hey, this is X amount of miles. That is a dramatically shorter distance than what it would be if Antarctica was stretched all the way on the outer rim of an AE map. So Are you saying 7 times is the
Around
gate
that
breaker?
much, yeah. It's like 12,000 miles, less than 12,000 miles versus less than 78,000 miles. It's just way it's too much of a discrepancy.
But
You
where are
know,
you getting these measurements? Like you haven't been there. You're just trusting
you're not wrong
what?
there. Evidence.
I mean,
All
not
evidences.
okay. Yeah.
No, but if
All
you
evidences.
stretch the Antarctica though around the outside of the entire world, it's obviously going to be dramatically
Well, sure,
larger than
sure, but
a small continent on the either bottom of
yeah,
a ball or on the southern portion of a dual pole thing.
they're just not going to let you. They're not going to let you that far out. That's just my guess. I mean, kind of the same way they're like, oh, you can't go into the southern oceans. The southern oceans are too rough. It's just kind of gets cold, and it gets colder. It gets harder to travel. Obviously, probably
So
for a
it's
reason.
it,
It's kind of like it's designed like that. You can't get freaking that far. It takes too much fresh water. It gets too cold. You can't um take
so
enough
Well, you could,
supplies.
I mean, you could do it legally if you had the money and the team. I mean, they say you
Yeah,
can go to whatever the 60 degrees south, but you might be able to, yeah, with the Antarctic Treaty stuff. But I mean, even at 60 south, you could circumnavigate, even if you just stayed at 60, you could circumnavigate around and measure the distance. And even at 60 south on an AE versus a globe or a dual pole planar would be a dramatically different distance. Because that's kind of connected to like the idea that on the AE map, it splays out the continents, so that the distance between South America and South Africa is dramatically greater distance. Which, if the Earth was an AE map, that would have to be hidden from us in a intense way. And really, anyone could check that. Anyone with a yacht or with a private airplane or whatever, or even doesn't even have to be a multi-million-dollar yacht. It could be a boat that can travel the oceans. Anyone could verify that. So if they're hiding that from us, that it's hard for me to think that of all the people that have circumnavigated and sailed and done everything, that they were just that the globe is just way shorter distance, and that it's actually the AE splayed out continents, and that also plays into the whole like if you go south, you don't end up at the South Pole as well. Whereas it seems like there's a good amount of evidence that you do end up at the South Pole if you travel towards that Sigma Octantis and all the other components of it. So, I mean, it's just
look at
the
it
consequences of these layouts. Yeah.
look at it like this. The FE equator is basically almost I don't know if it's exactly equal to or not, but let's just say the FE equator, okay, is equal to the globe equator. And it's about 7 times off all the way down at the coast of Antarctica, and between the equator all the way down to Antarctica, so you go equator, then you start going south a little bit. It starts from 0, it starts equal, then you go a little bit more, it's 2 times off, then it's 3 times off, then it's 4 times off, and you go south,
You're
more
saying
south.
because it's supposed to be getting wider and wider, and it's
Yeah, yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. I get you. I think there's like I think it's just easy. It's easy to lie about the distance over the it's always over water. Like, everything's pretty much accurate on land, but I mean maybe not in the north so much, but definitely down south with the water, like, and I think that's why they like flat earth dude used to talk about the transatlantic yacht race, right? Well, that's kind of like a well-known thing because there's a lot of travel there, but the Trans-Pacific isn't from Japan to California. It's from Hawaii to California, I think. I could be off on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. So there's a reason why they don't do that because it's way further than what it is marked on the globe, is my guess. Um, I just don't think it's. I think that's where they do their line. I'm not saying I know it's an AE map. I don't know. I don't know. I just know it's flat. That's for damn sure. I know. Um, I actually haven't been there, so I can't tell you. But all I know is everywhere I've been around the country, it's flat as shit. And every time I fly, it looks flat. You know what water does, so I don't.
Hey, Lion, are you still there? I forget it. Maybe he stepped away.
No, I'm here, but what's up? I'm just busy.
Well, no, we can carry on. There's a lot of these angles that are being discussed in terms of distances and things. I'm going to be listening, but I do have to somewhat step away for a sec. So I just following up on what we were talking about. I was just curious, like, and I'm not trying to spark a big religious discussion or anything, but we were talking about like these different components and the layouts and distances and these things. I was just kind of curious, like, just for you, if these tests were all done and like in terms of like meeting at a point in the south and all these things, if it was a dual pole planar or I guess globe, meaning if AE was out and you confirmed it physically in physical reality, what would that change in your religious or spiritual viewpoints? Just that alone. It's just kind of one quick question, or however you want to answer it.
Yeah. So no, it's all good.
I'm just curious, like, would you readjust it and say, okay, like interpret the religious side differently, or would it like change it entirely to where you'd be like, oh my gosh, it's all. I'm just curious. Yeah, how does it link in? Because you were saying that you're strong on perhaps sticking with the AE side or some of those things you were saying because of the religious side. I'm saying if the physical world isn't the interpretation that you're interpreting from that, does it change your interpretation of it, or does it change that the whole religious thing would then come into question for you, or your viewpoints on your religious kind of resonances and so on? That's the question. And I guess it could be answered like if it was a globe or if it's dual pole planar, I guess, like if it's not
The thing
AE,
is,
basically.
yeah, the thing is, it doesn't really shake my faith too much because it's not a salvational issue like the shape of the earth. But it would kind of, I would be disappointed for being so zealous for the flat Earth, I guess, because I do believe the flat Earth to be the case. Whether it's dual pole or not, I'm pretty sure that it is planar. You know that up is universal and that down is universal. That postulate, that parallel postulate holds true. And perpendicular.
And that we're stationary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That we're stationary, not moving. But yeah, perpendicular to plumb.
Yeah, I can't imagine many Christians like being like, "Oh man, it's not, it's not, it moves," and be like, "Now I don't believe in God," or whatever.
Well, wouldn't it? But I mean, when I say all this, like I'm not like on the fence to the point where I'm like, what if it's this? What if it's that? But I'm saying it like conversationally to be neutral because I'm not really trying to assert my view in this. But I'm just conversationally. But like, let's say if it were a globe kind of thing, just from that neutral kind of just consideration, I guess, perspective, not from my own view, but I'm just saying, yeah, like if somebody had a Christian viewpoint that was based on the stationary and all some of the things Lion mentioned, like, I mean, Lion, would you maintain your Christian viewpoint if it really was a globe? Like just, using that kind of verbiage? Like if you actually measured curved water and you went
If it
out in
was,
space
if it
and
was
saw
a
it as
globe, I would still be a Christian. But I mean, I was a Christian when I believed in the globe. But the thing is, the globe model is just more disappointing, dude. Because this idea of a firmament and the globe, I mean, the Earth being geostationary in the center of existence, that is very profound, right? And if that was not the case, and we were just one of many planets, that to me that is more lonely. I would feel solitude for some reason. I don't know. I feel like kind of it would be bittersweet. I don't know how to
No, I
explain
hear
it.
you, dude.
Like,
I hear you on all that, dude.
the
I
thing
feel
is,
that too. I feel that too. It would be like a letdown. It's like, oh, like just hypothetically thinking about it. Yeah, it's like that's what creation is. I know it kind of would be like a fundamental. Just like, yeah, I feel you on that. Even though I'm not like coming as much from the Christian side specifically, but just for a lot of reasons. Yeah, like just thinking about it and the isolation. Yeah, all the different layers of that. Yeah.
The reason I say that is because, like, okay, so the heliocentric model still shows design, dude. It still shows complexity and fine tuning, right? That's why they call it the Goldilocks zone. It doesn't take away from that necessarily, but it's still more. It's still a more lonely existence, bro. If we are like this, just one little rock floating through space, one of trillions of rocks, and when you look out there, it seems to be devoid of life. Intelligent life. We don't see any signs of it anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I've got
Instead-
friends.
Simple.
Go
It's
ahead.
it's pretty damn simple when you think about it. I mean, just like the whole people being upside down and just like, come on, man. Like somebody wouldn't they have zoomed in and shown a ship upside down at some point? Couldn't you just zoom in to a ship like there it is going down the side of the ball?
Yo, I don't know if you follow Founded Earth Brothers, but they were present at the most recent conference, the Truthicon, which it was at.
Okay.
No, but they also think that the the cosmos are a lot smaller, bro, than what most people think. Like it's not infinite. And the distances of
Yeah,
the luminaries, they're a lot closer, bro, to us than we think.
sure.
Everything's
It's
smaller.
all that shit's been just put in our heads with movies and just nonsense. Light speed
Well,
and light, all that horse crap. You know, it's like, oh, it's so vast. It'll take us one trip to here is gonna take 10 years. Like, come on, man, it's just silly.
yeah.
So,
Also, like for me, all the visual evidence that we're on a ball and the outer space thing and the solar system, like if I had to rank that from my own, it is my own subjective viewpoint, but like let's say 0 to 10, like how good the evidence is of just the pictures, videos from space, basically, including the globe, the sun, whatever, everything of the actual idea of a solar system, a heliocentric solar system. Dude, if I had to rank it from 0 to 10, like at best, it's a 2 out of 10, a 1 or 2 out of 10. Like it is just to me, like if that was real, let's say, like they are just representing it horrifically. Like if it really was real, like in terms of satellites all being out there and taking probes to Venus and going to Mars, I mean, it is abysmally bad, in my opinion. Other people may have different view. I know someone will bring up like, oh, Himawari, and look at this. I get it. I know people are going to say that, whatever they think is compelling with it. But I mean, to me, it is so abysmally bad. Like, there's no footage of like actually leaving the Earth, in one fell swoop, seeing the Earth as a ball, going out to the moon, approaching the moon, landing on the moon, orbiting the moon. None of it is well documented. I am a little interested. They're doing this, apparently, this Artemis, or they're supposed to be like next year, like next spring. They're supposed to be, humans are supposed to be going to orbit the moon. First time humans have been past like 900 miles out since 1972. Curious to see what are they going to be AI, CGI craziness, or they're just not going to show us much? It's just going to be limited. So we'll see what that shows. But I'm just saying, to me, like the evidence of the video evidence and picture evidence to me is a 1 or 2 out of 10. It's abysmally bad. So like from the perspective that that's real, like that is not a strong case in terms of visually what they're showing. And then there's all the other arguments of claims of curvature and satellites and relativity and orbits and all the rest of it. And I'm not trying to enter into a huge like debate on it, but I'm just saying just those points of it, on its own. And then lastly, I was going to say that, and then sorry for linking two things together, but I was just going to say from what you had said before, Lyon, I mean, I do have friends that are, they think it's a globe and heliocentric, and they do see it as like the beautiful creation and the creator and the intelligence, and they just think the creator made the solar system and the balls and the, all of that, and they think it's like grand and beautiful, and they even see it as like you were saying, it isolated, but some of them even see it as like, oh, it's amazing and it's huge and it's grand and this huge grand creation, even though we are in this little blue marble. So, anyways, I'm just saying there are people that have kind of a spiritual viewpoints in various ways and a globe one, and they find a way to not see it as just like isolated and so on, and they somehow they can see it as expansive or an amazing creation kind of thing. I was just gonna say that from before.
If we are on a globe, that would mean the setting of the world in the Bible is complete fantasy and wrong. You might as well pick up a Lord of the Rings book and use that as your Bible.
For which part?
or because the setting, the world is in the Bible is completely, the setting of the world is completely different than what modern science says. So if we were on a globe, that would mean the setting in the Bible, the background story of it, it would just be fantasy. It would be a fantasy world like a Lord of the Rings.
Hey, Joe, and those are creationists from a Christian standpoint.
The ones I was talking about? No, not
Yeah.
necessarily. No. Well, I was talking about in the graduate school program that I did, like I've mentioned that, and it's a pretty unique graduate school. So like we're kind of like a tribe, like friends, like it's not just like colleagues, and like we're more like actually friends and so on. And people do plant ceremonies together, and like there, it's a pretty like it's more of a unique kind of community. So no, I can't say that too many of those are necessarily like fundamentalist Christian, sort of Christian apologetics or anything to that degree. I mean, a lot of them are aware of Christianity and respect many parts of the Bible and the wisdom and the Christian mystics and so on. But no, I think when I was referring, like, I mean, they have a lot of different spiritual viewpoints, but um, I would not as much necessarily creationism Christian specific, but they have like spiritual viewpoints. I mean, some of them may be more Eastern traditions. Some of them maybe incorporate some Christianity. Some of them, I guess, what some people might call kind of New Age, or kind of linking quantum physics and consciousness, and and a lot of them are work with astrology, like the astrological, like the cycles of these luminaries, and studying the historical components of that, and working with things like yoga, meditation, plant medicines. So it's kind of it's a wide range of views. But I'm just saying, like many of them do, pretty much all. I mean, I don't think there's any like atheist or agnostic really in that group, probably much at all. So they all do think there's higher intelligence, and so just in that context, if they still are on the globe idea, they see it as the higher order and all of that, created an actual globe in the solar system, and some of them have very like spiritually kind of inspired viewpoints, even with that cosmology. Sorry if that was kind of a long answer, but
Yeah, sorry. No, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, many people are, I mean, I know a bunch of Christians, but I mean, if one, or at least in the Christian area, if once you get to the minutia of what creation was and compared to what they're actually saying in secular media about the what's the creation according to them and how it is everything is, that's where they fall into this contradiction. Because I say, like, my dad, he's a pastor, and as I remember from a long time, he said that the firmament's no longer there, was no longer needed, or something like that.
no, I hear you, dude, because that goes with a lot of spiritual traditions. Like, even in the group I'm referring to, like the graduate school, I mean, a lot of them are like, they study, the Vedic traditions, and deeply, and a lot of these different spiritual traditions. And when I've brought up like stationary planar Earth, like it's a contradiction for them, because on the one hand, some of them, they believe in the globe model, the Copernicanism, Isaac Newton, the whole globe thing, but they're also studying all these ancient wisdom traditions that don't have a globe at all. So it's like even a contradiction. Like they respect deeply those spiritual traditions. Some of them do, Vipassana meditation practices, and so on, and they study all those texts. But then, of course, those ancient texts refer to the Earth as a stationary plane. So I mean, the Vedics they call it Bhumandala, which is basically the earthly plane, and it's definitely a plane. Like it's not a globe at all. So yeah, I mean, it's sort of contradictory. When I've talked to some of them, I've been like, well, the Earth actually is flat and stationary, and so on, and it is kind of like it's just like they study those traditions and see all the wisdom, but then they have to somehow hold a thing. It's like, well, but they were wrong about the cosmology, and the new thing is the globe is the truth. But then they still think that the spiritual traditions have a lot of legitimacy. So it goes that way with shamanism too. Like there's people that are doing ayahuasca ceremonies or doing shamanic practices, yet they think they're on a globe. But the shamans, don't have a globe. I mean, the shamanic cosmology is not a globe at all. So it's like they're working same thing. They're doing the practices and the plant medicines and different journeys and things, but they kind of hold that contradiction of like that they're on a globe, even though the shamanic wisdom is not a globe, you know. So and the shamanic, they specifically have like the upper world, which is there's spirits and angels and things in the upper world, and then there's the earthly plane that we live on, the physical earthly plane, and then there's the underworld, and the upper and underworld have very specific spiritual world attributes and actual like locations in the space of things, you know. So yeah, there's an actual layout of that, and so to kind of be working with those things, but then also kind of believe the globe, yeah, it's another version of that contradiction.
Gio, why do you suppose that out of the 195 countries on Earth, not a single one of them has taken up the flat Earth position?
That's a complex question because they're run by the New World Order, Illuminati, Freemasonic, Jesuit, psychopathic, et cetera, et cetera. There's a group of entities that seem to have taken the world over since World War I, World War II, and the cosmology has all been homogenized. And I mean, they have their space agencies, and so I mean that I would go that route in it. I don't know if that's where we're going to take the convo, but I mean that's why just like Australia is not just going to some leader in Australia is not going to come out and debunk it or whatever because they're all run. It's like a massive corporation. Now, some of that's speculation. I mean, I don't have like dead set proof, but there's a lot of reasons why that I think that's the case when you look at the orchestration of the banking system and the media, all these different components. So, yeah.
Do you think there are any two countries in the world that are actually enemies with one another? Or do you think it's just a facade and they're all actually like hand in hand in cahoots with one another?
Yeah, I think behind the scenes, there could be, I mean, some of these smaller countries that have been like taken over and messed with, like that could have been something where, I mean, are you talking about like the major countries? Because you have like the United Nations, like
None of
the countries.
all 195 countries, are they all? Do you think that even the ones that claim that they're like mortal enemies to one another, like North Korea, South Korea, etc., like Iran and Israel, we can just go down the list of all those. Do you think that they're actually enemies with one another, or do you think that it's just a facade and they actually are in cahoots? And when it comes down to it, like all the real leaders, the puppet masters that pull the strings, they all meet up in their private jets and then they laugh about how they just pretend that they hate each other.
Yeah, I think more towards the latter. Yeah. I mean, I think that in order to have the level of control that they have, to have space agencies and control over the media, control over the governmental systems and the banking systems. I mean, that's a hard question to answer, but and obviously, like again, like I would have to go somewhat to speculation or my own kind of thoughts on it without having all of the information. But my general sense of how that's working is that like there's like a behind the scenes layer of it, kind of like a corporation. Like if there's a corporation and they have all these different parts of the corporation, they have the marketing team and they have the publishing team, whatever, there is like a central control and there is central people that would actually make the choice of whether this team gets funding or that team gets funding. But yeah, they could then play the act of, the marketing team is against the publishing team. So that's kind of like in the analogy. Yeah, like, North Korea and South Korea. But yeah, I think that's part of the media deception, making it seem like, because that's the deception. Like not only the globe, it's like, we're on a globe and we're all like opposing each other, from the center of this ball. And then we're all like survival of the fittest and the different countries are vying for power. So they're selling, yes, in my viewpoint, a massive deception that the countries are separate and that it's like the wolf in sheep's clothing. They don't want to reveal that it actually is centrally controlled, especially since World War II, so I mean, before that is maybe another question, but so yeah, I think that it is a facade that they're faking that the countries are against each other to convince everybody that they actually are different and therefore they, to kind of allow people to think that they can be controlled because, my country's better than that one and therefore I have to live by the authority of my country kind of thing.
So then, do you think that every country's like military industrial complex? Do you think it's all fake then? That they know that nobody needs any of that weaponry because they're already like hand in hand, friend and friend, and behind the scenes in the dark the dark corners of the actual people in power, and then all those weapons that we all hold and make all around the world, especially amongst all the power players. That's just like that's all that is like it's like a fake. It's like we just do that for the military industrial complex, but we know that these are not weapons that will ever be used or needed.
Yes. Yeah. The only reason they would use those weapons against is if the people actually rose up, like if the actual people rose up. So they have a way to make sure, martial law kind of thing. But yeah, I think that they don't really need to drop bombs on other countries, but they do it to make war seem more real. And so, yeah, I mean, everything you said there, I think is like they don't really have to launch missiles at other countries, but they do it to play the game and to make it look like there's war going on and to make people think that the countries are against each other. Yeah, it's like a play of sorts, like a
So then,
I would
so
even
then,
take it a step further. I would say it's more nefarious than just to keep the facade going. I would say like you have the people spend their time and energy working, and then they pay taxes, and these taxes fund these weapons that then go to ritually kill other humans. I think it's a lot more nefarious. And just a quick question, Gio, you mentioned these entities potentially taking over during like World War I or whatever. Where do you think where do you think these entities came from? If you just speculation.
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. Going back to like the Rockefeller kind of takeover, Rockefeller medicine and the media. Yeah, that's a deeper question because that goes back into like whatever happened in the 17 and 1800s. I mean, there's some ideas that there was like a reset. Yeah, that's a kind of a deep wellspring to open up of consideration. But, then you have like World War One, J.P. Morgan, who financed the Titanic, and then that event, and then they established a Federal Reserve, and then it seems like World War One was connected to setting up the world banking system, and then it seems like they pulled off the Great Depression to tank the money, and they took everyone's gold, that Gold Reserve Act thing in 1933, and then went right into World War Two, and then of course brought over the Nazis to create NASA and everything from there. So yeah, that's I mean, I've been talking a lot. I do. I'm going to be listening, but I kind of have to be away from my mic for a little bit. And that's a big topic. But yeah, I mean, who they are, it's a big question, or where they came from, or how they kind of got this positioning. I mean, there is like the Freemasonic kind of takeover of America, like the 1776 kind of date, and then George Washington and these sort of Freemasonic fraternities, and then the whole like Christopher Columbus, but then there's this idea of like the Knights of Columbus, like the Freemasons, and you have like Christopher Columbus, but then you have like Washington D.C., the District of Columbia, which is where they kind of control all of America from, and then you also have like Columbia Pictures, Columbia Records. So yeah, it's an interest. I mean, that's a question that's pretty hard to. I mean, you're kind of asking
Could
like,
I
who are they, basically? It's
could
a
I offer up
tough
an
thing
analogy?
to know for sure. Go ahead.
I think we got perfect example already in the industrial sector. I was just kind of thinking about it, right? Essentially, just because Nike workers all work together to produce the products such as Nike doesn't mean they're not sort of internally competing with one another, right? So the corporation, like, you've got the employees of that particular institution or company, and they're in competition with another company, but they're also competing internally to get the pay rise, to improve their product and their contribution towards the company. So and they, like, someone else might get kicked out, and there's two people then vying for that seat, or other people might actually intentionally take each other out because, I don't know, they just don't like each other. It could just be like I've seen this happen. So, like, partners in law firms and stuff, they don't like each other, so they'll go strategically push each other out, despite the fact that they're still working within the major company. And so that's all existing. Like, none of this stuff, these controllers, like this idea that the countries are both in cahoots but in competition with one another, it's already exists. We have an example of it, and you can basically take a lot of industrial decisions sort of so control large. I'll land there.
I'm curious though. Okay, if we look at the structures of governments and intelligence agencies and their elected leaders and things like that, right? Essentially, what we'd have to say is that these people are compromised from the ground up because otherwise, you'd have people that aren't aware of the secret global cabal that controls everything, and they would be actively working against some of their plans some of the times, right?
Yeah.
And so
I
then
mean,
there
I
would
can.
be. Here's the
Go
thing
ahead.
that I have a trouble with it because it requires such a massive cooperation amongst all levels of government. We have whistleblowers, people like Edward Snowden. We have hackers and things like that. We've never seen any documents to suggest that this is actually the case. I'm just curious, though, why even believe it if we've never even seen any single document that says that there's a secret global cabal that controls the whole world, right? And all the countries are in cahoots with one another.
Would
Why
there
would
be
you
a
expect them to
document
tell
for
you?
that?
What's
Yeah.
that?
Bro, you think they're taking minutes at their meetings?
There's going to be some communication about what this global secret cabal wants, the
Bro, they
state
probably do it
actors
by
to do.
carrier pigeon, dude. Who cares? Like, what, fully encrypted emails, burner phones. Like, who knows how they're communicating? Or like, I can't believe that's even the one of your points right now. Really?
Supposedly 195 countries, and even in cases where they're going to say, because Gio just agreed that all wars are fake. That means that from the global cabal is going to come to you and say, you know what, we're going to have to destroy a big portion of your country, and lots of your people are going to die. You're just going to have to be okay with it, and you just have to toe the line, right?
Or those
Well,
guys
I
don't
think
even know. Because do you think Biden actually knew what was going on? You think they told him all the secrets? That guy couldn't even tie his shoes, dude.
So,
And
but if
the
Biden
leaders
doesn't
are
know,
just puppets.
though,
They don't even know what's going on, bro. I think you don't learn lessons with Biden. You didn't learn your lesson?
so if like Trump doesn't know, and Putin doesn't know, and Bibi doesn't know, and Zelensky doesn't know, those people they can just call military people and say, I want this operation done, I want this attack done, I want this done. At what point is during the chain of command is it intercepted by an insider of the global cabal that's like, no, this is what the
You'd
global cabal.
probably have a guy. You'd probably have a guy like Henry Kissinger or some sort, right, to make sure that everyone towed the line, like a Kissinger style dude, right? You know who that was?
Right. There's somebody in
Nah, bro.
that in
Use
that
your
chain of
head, dude.
custody.
Use your head.
Okay.
So,
And flat earthers, they don't ever believe
Jake,
things without really good evidence. So can you provide me what is this
yeah,
evidence of the global
yeah,
cabal?
I'll show you. Like this is what I thought was a pretty good example. Anyway, is Jacinta Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, who they're trying to uh, re-envisage her lately. She's just got a new documentary out or something. Greg Hunt, the Australian Health Minister, and a whole bunch of other people. Those are the two I'm just aware of locally. There's a couple of other ones that I can't ring off the top, but they're all over the world, and they all come from the World Economic Forum. They all graduated this Young Leaders program together. So what it sort of infers then is that these people go to these special schools and they learn the special way in which the world is moving into the future, and then they're sent back out into the world. And when a crisis comes along, or the World Economic Forum or the World Health Organization make decisions, they've already got their ministers like embedded inside of the politic of each and individual country. Like he was Greg Hunt, one of the graduates of that Young Leaders program. He was the health minister for Australia at the time of the pandemic.
So what you're saying
Um,
is like when there's a crisis, when the crisis comes along, you should whip it.
Something like that.
I mean, Jake, you got the Bilderberg Group, Bohemian Grove, um, the Juminati. You've got all these groups, bro, that are like,
Illuminati.
how do you not know about these?
Yeah, but the
I give it
claim
2
isn't
years of
just that.
control, but you don't
The
know.
claim isn't just that, you've got like you've got the people behind the Bohemian Grove that are kind of like, power players in the American government that get in cahoots with one another. It's that the entire world is in cahoots with one another, and they've got an insider that's a real shot caller within the chain of command of every major country, intelligence, etc. And
No,
It's a lot of.
it's more like
I think it's a lot of. I think it's a lot of speculation, but we don't have a single deathbed confession. We don't have a single document. We don't have a single anything. Right? It's just this is just all.
Because these guys don't
There's
like
been,
rat. These
yeah,
guys aren't gonna like rat their people out, bro. They're in
yeah.
like the top of the
The graph,
Juminati, dude. They're,
the,
hold on,
And
I mean,
Florida.
we had to move past sacrifices in a lot of
When did
situations.
Manly P. Hall stop writing?
Probably when he
He
died.
died in the 80s.
That's a
Yeah,
good possibility. Yeah, oh, in the 80s. So did he see the rise of Scientology to become what it was?
And he went that big in the
Not
80s.
exactly. He went on he set sail on his super yacht with all of his followers until the end. So he got to live the quintessential cult leader lifestyle.
That's cool, Cooper. I
No,
think.
but think about it. Think about it this way, right? Right. So he was hanging around with all the wrong uns, right? The wrong uns. Sorry. And they, or let's just say lots of other types of cult leaders. And they were all like, come and join our cult. Come and join our cult. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to start my own. And he did.
Didn't he started like right around the same time that NASA was hiring Nazis to go to space?
It's different period, sort of.
What's
JPL
that,
comes
Snacks?
later.
What's that movie where that fella he play? I'm sure that's like a rip-off of L. Ron Hubbard, right? Was it a Paul Thomas Anderson movie? I can't remember.
Oh, the Master. No, it is exactly.
Yeah.
It is. That's why Seymour Hoffman's not alive.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that, but
Well, no, and his friend that was in the movie also not alive.
well, I remember watching the movie. I thought it was good. What's that guy's name? The lead character. I can't remember his name.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah, he was good. He was good, really good, wasn't he? He had a
His three
heroin.
first names, you know, he can probably act.
He had an issue, right? Though he had some drug issues and whatnot.
Oh yeah, he was framed
during Boogie Nights for being so gay.
Well, that's the whole thing about why Andy thinks that he's got a heroin problem is because like he died with like heroin sprinkled on him and a bunch of bags of heroin. No, because it's
Dude, are you
that's
serious?
how.
Do you know?
It's
You
a
ever
frame.
seen that movie where he played?
Good
the guy
golly,
that
Miss Molly.
that sniffs gas. Have you? What am I
Rough,
loud?
dude.
Sorry.
He was framed up, man. They knocked him off and framed him up. They wanted to plow his legacy because he plowed the legacy of Scientology. What's wrong with that? That's an open and shut conspiracy theory right there.
I mean, look, if flat earthers can learn anything from L. Ron Hubbard, it's that they should start some sort of protective group, tax-free organization. That's what they should do.
The real lesson to learn is you should start your own mythology.
Once you go 501c3, you can't talk about the government no more.
The thing that made Scientology good is that they got dirt on all their members so that they couldn't leave.
Yeah, they got them confessing like the Catholic Church.
They got them confessing and paying money. They got them on both ends. More money, more money.
Yeah, come tell me your problems. What do they call it? They hold the two silver things.
We'll check your thetan level, bro.
Thetan, yeah, what is that though? It's an audit or whatever.
You can get
They got
audited.
those child labor camps as well.
You got to check your metachlorian levels. I kind of like that part of it, I've got to say.
That's how they get the dirt on you, though.
Yeah, it's like, look, we detected we've got some bad juju here. We need to work through this.
You got like 3 past lives built of residue here. It's just your thetan levels. It's gonna cost you like $75, maybe $120,000 to get clear of this, Andy. But we could do it. We want to.
At least. I mean, look, if you're Tom Cruise, you got that Tom Cruise bank. Seems to work well. I don't know.
Oh, but then they made him like their Jesus. You know what I mean? They made him. They made up all these situations. Like they planted a whole sunflower field for him to take photos with his concubine, whatever, from Dawson's Creek, or Katy.
Katy
anyway,
Perry.
Yeah, no, different one. She's married. She's
Katie,
rolling with the
Katie
Canadian
Holmes.
Prime Minister. Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes. Sorry.
Yeah, a lot of Katies ago. Jeez.
I don't know why I said Perry, dude. Sorry, that's my bad. Yeah,
Katy
Holmes
Perry's
is who I meant.
Perry's dating oh man, the ex Prime Minister of Canada. They're knocking boots.
Trudeau.
True dat.
Was that a real
Yeah,
thing? I
and-
think I did see some little thing of that. Is that a one of these claimed?
They have
joinings?
like
There are pictures of them. There are pictures of them kissing, and that's basically all that's been confirmed.
they kind of have that knowing smirk, like we look hot and we have hot sex. I think that's kind of like what I picked up out of the eye contact with them. But I don't know.
I bet
I
they have
think
hot
that says more
sex.
about you.
I don't know that I'm observant of the human condition. Yeah, possibly.
Look, they're both good-looking people. I bet it's a great time. All right, more power to them.
I'm not like in their sphere of whatever, but I think that they know that they have there's a very confident kind of thing, like not like they're playing up something.
For some reason, there's baby oil in every picture.
I don't know where are you getting these pictures from? Like People Magazine or something?
TV Guide. He got him at the TV Guide.
He's
Yeah, that
taking
one
them.
was like a mainstream publication. That was like a front of Google thing.
Do they even make magazines anymore?
Yo, I came in and you guys said baby oil. What did I miss?
You order pizza?
I think we've gone. We're a bit off the rails. We need a re-rail.
Do you need
Oh, we can
baby
attack the
oil?
third rail.
I like it.
So you doing all right? Good.
This is
2158.
This is like a rare twangy treat to have Larry and what are you going by? 5 minutes, please. Now.
That's all good. Thank you so much. How we going?
You are actually delivering a pizza. Both you guys were delivering pizzas at some point, and then no, both you guys
Sorry.
were delivering pizzas at the same time, and then on our channel at the same time. So it's nice to have this twangy reunion of you guys.
What are we talking about?
Thank you.
Baby
Oh,
oil.
we're just
I'm so
reminiscing.
confused.
Twangy
What, anybody a
reunions?
daily baby oil guy? Witsit, what's up, man? What do you think about plasma and comments?
Oh, I'm trying to figure out the baby oil comment.
Yeah, they kind of go
all
together,
right.
I guess.
And these guys used to be on my channel all the time, sometimes. So that's why.
Yeah, we're just reminiscing on old times, dude. We go back.
Go back to using baby oil together?
Nope.
No.
That's a baseless assertion.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
I
pay
never
some
said
money
that.
for that. You're gonna defamation lawsuit on you now.
Don't
Unless
put
someone
words in my mouth.
explains it. Can someone explain it then? What's going on?
He was talking about a picture of Katy Perry, and she's with Trudeau, and there's like a picture out there, I guess, and they're kissing, and they have kind of a weird smirk on their face. And then somebody said, "Yeah, there's constantly baby oil in every picture," and then that's how that got in there. We kind of got off the rails, like Gio said.
How was there? Was that
And then
a
I
joke
started
that they were
hot
doing?
micing. Sorry, guys. Please continue.
So there's a picture of Katy Perry and Trudeau kissing. Interesting.
Not interesting. Back to why everybody hates Christ. It's really weird because he said basically you don't need anybody in front of you to talk to the Creator. You can just, speak to Him directly through me, and I'm not going to get in your way. So feel free and go ahead and do it for free. It's on me. Like He's redeemed and paid for everything. So we're good. People hate that.
Was that the topic beforehand? That's a way more interesting topic.
No, that was random.
No, but I was trying to get us off of the baby oil thing.
We were talking about Scientology, and I don't know. We got on the
Dude,
subject
you
of
guys are
I don't know
all over the
Harvard.
place. Can someone just be truthful? Like Jesus.
No,
Literally.
that's how it started. That's
I
how it
think
started.
Gio
Literally.
actually brought the Scientology thing in.
It was
coming from a Jew.
No, it was like kind of a little bit of spirituality, religion, creator.
Andy was talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman.
timeless.
That's how.
How it how a creator could create outside of time, and it was some of that, and then Andy said something like religions are like the lifeblood of God, and I say, wait, you mean Scientology
Andy fucked it
included
all
as
up.
well? Then it went off into Scientology. I think we need to new
I think it's because
something.
he cut me off, and then he took it to that weird Andy place that he takes.
No, yeah, Geo did it. It was Geo.
Well, I just said the word Scientology. Was he including Scientology as all religions are the, what do you say, the lifeblood of God or something?
Right. When you said that, I was thinking more like voodoo sacrifice religions, and you were like modern weird. They both
Hey, what
made the
makes you
same
think they don't
point, but
sacrifice people in Scientology?
I'm just saying, like, the shit could have went either way from like the same comment, but depending on what religion you picked, it's
You
like
don't know with
all
Scientology.
religions.
You know, they got all these like levels. You know what I mean? They reveal some new thing to you, and be like, "Oh yeah," and then we sacrifice people. And you're like, "Oh what? No, you know, like well, you
Isn't
paid
John
for all the."
Travolta? Sorry,
No, you go.
isn't John Travolta like a cuckoo con or some bullshit where he can sacrifice people? Nobody cares.
What? What? I don't know.
Yeah, I was just talking about Scientology, and apparently there's levels to the shit.
Yeah, and then they don't tell you that you're praising a alien creature until you're like in level 8 or something.
Yeah, by that time
Oh, and
you've
by the
already put.
way,
Yeah,
yeah, you
no,
put like
but
two
that's
hundred
what's
fifty
like.
thousand dollars into it.
I think Christianity's got it way better than the Scientology. That's like a mystery door. Open another door, and like, oh, you don't even know what's going to go on. The Christian thing is it's pretty much like it's on paper already.
What the hell? Those
That's
aren't
good.
even remotely close. I'm pretty sure the founder of Scientology said if you ever want to find a way to make a ton of money, start a religion.
Yeah,
He did say
I
that.
can't remember. I think it was Bill Burr who was just like, "Yo, how are you gonna want me to believe into your religion? You know, your guy, what's his name, Ron? He had a social security number. There's like footage of him like stumbling. Like you can't really hide all of that in like any mystery. Like that's crazy. It's not even close, dude. It's not even close. And the thing is, it's like there's no levels of Christianity. You know what I mean?
I don't know. They're
They're
all
all
You
on the
according to
same
the
level.
Mormons.
Yeah, but we don't do
what
Yeah,
do
the
you
that.
say?
whole
What's it?
idea of striving.
I don't think there's levels. I
According to
think
the
you can
Mormons, there
always.
are.
Oh yeah, well, that's a little different.
Yeah, but I'm not a Mormon. People are like, why don't you read the Mormon Bible? It's like, I'm not a Mormon. Some people think that I am because I don't think that Christ is the Father. That's kind of a no duh thing for me.
I'm still kind of chewing on. I wasn't there for it, but you said Andy. I don't know. Is that what you said, Andy? That religion is the lifeblood of God.
Technically, I was just quoting Manly P. Hall, something he said.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep. I was like, I don't think that's true. I explained it.
Yeah, I know. People see got aversion to that guy because he were a Mason or he were was he on, I can't remember if he was an actual Mason or
Yeah, oh yeah.
but
Yeah,
either
for
way.
sure he was.
Well, my version of him is he had many weird philosophical positions as well as being a 33rd degree
he,
Mason.
well, I always had this opinion that Masons are evil just because of the Templar, right? If we track them back through the history and the French Revolution in particular. And he was the one Mason I listened to where I was like, this dude's awesome. So I don't know. He made
I
me
think he was okay, but
realize.
he was a 33rd degree, so he definitely knew quite a few things. So there's a
Mm,
possibility that he was disseminating information to the public with ulterior motives. But he does have some
from like this, I call it the civilian level, like the of masonry, where you can just go to your local, city and sign up, and you have, potluck dinners and you do things for the community. But then there's like the idea that there's a more, clandestine secret society levels of it. Are those, is like, do you guys think the secret society level of it is like all through bloodlines and it's completely separate from the civilian, or do they like pluck people? Do they pluck people from the civilian to go into that more secret society level of it?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. So I think, from my understanding, like you become a Mason, and if you kind of go out of your way to put yourself in there, then you have a much lower chance of going all the way to the top. And they technically have the rule that you can't like go out and recruit people, but that's what they tell the Masons that they don't want to know things, because that's my opinion. Because I've all but been recruited before. Like I've had a really drunk Mason basically just tell me probably way too much and try and talk me into joining. And then I had the guy at my great grandfather's funeral that was wearing like the whole freaking Scottish Rite thing, asked me all these weird questions about my blood type, and he asked my blood type like randomly, like forced into a conversation at the funeral, and then asked if I'd ever looked into masonry, and basically told me I should consider it. So, and like I know the Masons were pissed at my great grandfather because he rejected, um, he refused to have a Mason funeral, right? And he put these stipulations like in his will. And they were pissed about that because he found something out at the end. I don't really know. Like he told my mom something like basically on his deathbed that it wasn't what he thought it was, and it like he found out like at the end of his life, and it was like it really messed him up. So whatever my great grandfather found out near his death about masonry, like messed him up like big time. So I don't know. He was in there for freaking years, right? He's in his 80s, seemingly not knowing all of it. So anyway, I guess to answer your question, from my understanding, it's more of like you get you're in there, you get access to libraries and stuff, and you kind of like show yourself approved. If you're kind of recommended, if you will, then and I don't know if the blood type's a big part of it, and they consider you like talented or whatever, they'll expedite you right through the levels. They'll expedite you. I do know that, and so it does seem like it's a bit of to really get brought up in the club. You have to check certain boxes, and then certain people kind of have to stamp you and recommend you. And it's basically like they pick out the people they think are talented to bring them up. So I don't think just anybody can work their way up if they study hard enough or something, right? Like that's not the way it is at all. I don't think.
Yeah,
Which
so
makes
like
perfect sense.
through like nepotism and connections.
Yep.
Yeah, but even as working up, is that like? I mean, do you agree with me that there's probably like the civilian level, and then what would we call like the secret society level or the clandestine?
Yeah.
Like I don't. So if there's those two, I mean, do those overlap though? Like, are there some people like? Is there anyone who just got into it by going to their local, lodge and becoming a member, and then actually get into the secret level of it?
I
Is there
don't
any?
think so. I don't think so. I don't know, right? Because I'm not a Mason, but I don't think so. Like from my research, no. The vast majority of the super high level secret society people, they're like born into it, and it does seem like they kind of they look out for like bastards, basically, right? Like people that lost their way. They're not aware of where they come from or some of the connections of their ancestors or whatever. And that way you could come from like just typical civilian life into that world a bit. Does that make sense? Like if they find you or whatever, if you're like a bastard.
Like an orphan or something, but you have the blood type they want, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nathan Reynolds says stuff like this too. A lot of my ideas are formulated based on Nathan Reynolds.
I was just about to bring him up. Yep.
Yeah. And that guy asked me my blood type.
What are the blood types they go for, or do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Right. I mean, some suggest like Rh negative, so any negative blood type. I don't know if that's true, but he didn't ask me any specific type of blood type or anything. Right. It just made no sense at all for him to ask me my blood type at all. And I thought he was super creepy and weird. I was younger and I had no idea why he was asking me anything. I thought he was super goofy wearing his. You guys ever seen the Shriner costume? It's like this. They got this really tall red hat and they got like all these little badges on. It's like this red outfit. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's super weird. Super weird. It looks like it's a joke.
What's that? The fez?
Look like Captain Crunch.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a fez like the Shriners were.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Like the tall red hat.
Yeah,
it's got the little tail looking thing on it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but he was wearing like a whole outfit. Like he was wearing like matching garb, basically. Like, it was all red and had a couple like little badges and the stuff you iron on, the patches. So he had like a whole outfit on. And my great grandfather wasn't related to me in terms of blood, and so that would maybe make sense why. And it makes me think it's like, was he in the world where he was like more of the civilian thing, right? Like he entered voluntarily from the civilian end of things. It was like this small town, and then there was like the Mason building, obviously, no windows. And then the other building, the education unit, the windows were blocked out. And he was in his 80s, right? And obviously didn't really know what was up. for him to tell my mom what he did. I remember when I was a little younger, I'd always try to ask him. So we would like go there for holidays and stuff. We'd go to my great grandparents. The whole family would be there, and I would always like from a young age, I'd go find my great grandfather, and he just worked as like a mechanic his whole life. Small mechanic shop in a small town that was family owned. His son, so my granddad, my mom's dad worked there, all that. Um, just like a very modest like living where he worked like all the way up into his 80s. He was still running that shop like right up to when he died, you know? And anyway, I would go ask him and I'd be like very interested in the Mason stuff. Because for me, I just knew it was a secret society and there were no buildings, there were no windows in their meetings. You know what I mean? To me, it was like, I want to know what's really going on. And so I would ask him, and like when my sister would ask him anything, he would not say anything, but he would talk to me about it. He would tell me like very cryptic things. And he would always say stuff like he told my mom like he had a feeling I was gonna grow up to be influential and all this stuff. And I asked him one time like, "What can you tell me about the Masons?" Like, I was like young, and I remember one time he told me, "Well, I'll tell you this: if there's a room full of people and it's pitch black, I will know if there's another Mason in the room." And I was like, "What?
What?
What is that?" I was like, "How?" And he just like kind of smiled and wouldn't say anything else.
Oh, what a creep. That's so weird.
So some people say that that's just like this typical thing that's said about how the Masons have like a secret handshake, and so like even if it's in the dark, if they shake your hand, they'll be able to know if it's a Mason that's shaking their hand. I don't know if that's what he was talking about.
It's all of us shake hands in the dark all the time. I'm like, what? That's so weird. Dude.
They ask you.
Oh,
They
have
ask you if you're a
secret
fellow
handshake.
traveler.
No,
Are you a
no,
traveler?
no. He didn't ask me
You're a
anything like
traveling
that.
man.
No,
Traveling man,
got
that's
the
right.
funeral. Got the funeral. Doesn't he didn't ask me anything like that.
You know what's crazy, Witsit? I found out like about like a month or two ago that I work with two Masons. Nuts. One of them is like kind of like on a lower level. The other guy, he straight up was like, "Yeah, I'm a level 32 Master Mason. I love it. I go there all the time. I do this. I do blah blah blah." You just
Well,
like an open
32 is
book.
equivalent to 3 for me, right? Like 32 is whatever. That's all cool. But like 33 is when you're like really in the club, because the only way to get to 33 is they have to personally invite you there. There's nothing you can do to earn your way to 33. You have to be selected.
Right.
So my great uncle's a
But
Mason, and oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say he told like we were talking about calendars, and he was like, "Yeah, we actually have a totally different calendar than what people are used to." I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." Not telling him like pretty into like different calendars and stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, we follow like this Jewish one. Can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like the year 4000 something." So I was hoping like someone knew which one that was. I don't know what that was,
Lunar
but that's all
calendar.
he told me. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a lunar calendar.
Okay. Anyway,
So
your uncle was a Mason.
yeah, my great uncle was a Mason, and I did a little research on him, without him knowing it, well, hopefully. And this dude, he like from a very small town in East Texas, and he went to like, a small community college or a small college for finances. This dude goes to work at a let's say a farming plant, and next thing you know, he's like got real estate everywhere, like real estate states over. He's got like all these houses in this small town and businesses that he owns, and he owns like so much stuff. But the crazy thing about it is, when it comes to trust law, you don't know what he actually owns. That's just what I could find. So it's ridiculous the amount of stuff that this dude owns, and he doesn't come from like noble family or anything like that. But yeah, I think that like the Masons is like Judaism for Gentiles. That's what I think. Very interested in my bloodline. He's like he's obsessed with my fucking bloodline. Well, I guess my great aunts and grandmother's bloodline, but you get it.
So looking this up, it says Masons follow the Anno Lucius calendar, the year of light. It adds 4,000 years to the current year. Is what it says.
There you go. Something like that. There you go.
Yeah, called Anno Lucius, the year of light calendar. It's also on the Masons website.
Yeah, he said something along the lines about 4,000 years. So that's probably it. Can't remember exactly how he said it, dude. I was just so blown away. I'm like, oh, that's cool. The guy works PM shift and I work brunch, so I never see him. I just kind of saw him in passing one day. But he overheard me talking about polemics and apologetics and stuff, and he just brought it up. Anyway.
So I think, dude, that there's like the civilians, and then there's like you get to 33rd degrees, and then there's like the way above that you're just born into elite families. And yeah, they let you go through some certain Masonic rituals, but you go to like the big leagues, right? You go to these meetings that they have, you go to stuff like Bohemian Grove. But it's not like all 33rd degree Masons are allowed in the Bohemian Grove. They're the people that are like cemented in at birth. Like you're born into a family, it's a different world, right? And then there's all kinds, there's like a divide amongst these families, like multiple divides, and they play different roles on the world stage. And a lot of them like give up their own children like their objects. So it seems like what people call MPD is just like rampant amongst these families, right? That they are like void of empathy. Everything is transactional. And I mean, that would be a requirement to like give up your child, right? And if you listen to a lot of what Nathan Reynolds says, it's just insane, bro, what some of these families do. And I will say, like, I'm pretty familiar with Nathan Reynolds, and like he's a flat earther and a truther, and like I do not think that guy's lying, right? People obviously can, but I don't. And he's got some crazy stories, bro. Crazy, crazy stories. But then when I go listen to people like Manly P. Hall, right, I understand that he is very intelligent. He's speaking to the general public, and he is either going to do so strictly with the ulterior motive or just to a certain point, and you'll go no further. So it's interesting to listen to get an idea of maybe some of the lens they view the world through, or some of the history that they all acknowledge. And he'll talk about like this kind of fish god that came up out of the sea, that came from the sky, that came and built civilizations, and that was said amongst all kinds of different civilizations all around the world that ostensibly had no connection to each other and stuff like that. So Manly P. Hall has interesting speeches if you listen to them all with a grain of salt, right? Like I definitely go to Manly P. Hall for my like to in any way mold my ontologies or like philosophical worldview in any way. I would steer clear of doing that.
Yeah, but
And
I think with it, you might be a level above some other people. So, for people who don't know anything, I think Manly P. Hall on YouTube would be a pretty good place to start as far as learning about things so you could research them independently. Just my opinion.
Well, yeah, that's specifically why I'm saying this, is so that people know to only listen to him with a grain of salt, because he is very intelligent and articulate, and he's a good speaker, and he obviously is very knowledgeable and studied, and so he can therefore be very persuasive, right? Like if you know the art of persuasion, I'm going to build a course about this. I've already started doing it with subsects, right? The art of persuasion is super important to understand. A, so you don't like get manipulated, and B, so you can sufficiently articulate your position in such a way as to be received, right? And so you guys have probably heard of this, like the typical breakdown, I think is accurate. You have ethos, right? So that's ethics. You guys have heard of this before?
Ethics, like EFF.
So it's ethos, like
No, ethics.
ETHOS, and yeah,
Oh,
ethics,
ethos.
ETHICS, yeah. And so you have ethos, pathos, logos. Okay, and so pathos, basically meaning passion, and logos meaning logic. So ethics is like the credibility of the speaker. So like what makes an audience trust them. So they need to show like some type of morality and
Respect.
yeah, like basically the respect of the speaker. So there are many different ways, whether that's like credentials or endorsements that people like stamp them, or there's that like consistency, linear code of ethics, morality, integrity, whatever, like trustworthiness, so that they can be trusted, right? And then you have pathos, so the passion in which like appeals to the emotion of the audience, basically. Not that they do the fallacy appeal to emotion, just that it does appeal to their emotions, meaning like the person is so emboldened with what they're speaking about, like they're so passionate about it, they clearly truly believe it themselves. It's very convincing when someone you consider credible is speaking about something very passionately, right? Like that's like contagious as humans. Like we like 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 if people have ever listened to like motivational speakers, it's like contagious in a way. Like when people really believe what they're saying, they speak with passion. It's very compelling. It's very persuasive. Okay, so passion, which I think the prerequisite to truly being passionate is truly believing it. And then you have logos, of course, like logic, like that it's a sound reasoning, like that your argument or whatever you're presenting is built upon sound reason. It's logical, right? So, logical reasoning, not fallacious, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you combine these, like logos, pathos, ethos, if you're credible, you're passionate, and you're logical. So if like what you're trying to convince the argument or the audience of, or compel them or persuade them of, is logical, and you are a credible source and you believe in it and you're passionate about it, you'll be very persuasive. That's the art of persuasion. This is why Hitler was so effective. Hitler checked all three of those boxes in the eyes of his audience, right? So That's why he won over 98% of Germany or whatever it was. Some people dispute those numbers, but who knows? But anyway,
The
another
crazy thing about Hitler, in 1938, he was Man of the Year, Time Magazine, right? That's a Jewish publication in 1938. Think about that. That's crazy, right?
wait, say again?
In 1938, Hitler was on the cover of Time Magazine, Man of the Year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a Jewish publication. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So wait,
Yeah,
you brought
you
up.
know, you know what I heard
Oh,
recently was that the guy who wrote the Satanic Bible was the son of the guy who made the IDF. So it's like Asaph Moshe or something versus, or what the fuck is the guy's name? Forgive me. Moshe Dayan, his son Asaph Dayan, allegedly wrote the Satanic Bible, and then Anti LaVey ran with it. Just food for thought. What's up, man?
What's going on?
So Esau,
You
I
know
was
what?
gonna. Wait, that Esau? Yeah, Esau.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever.
All right. So what's it? You brought up logos, pathos, and ethos. Is that what's in Manly P. Hall's book?
No.
Why you're talking about logic? I don't know why'd you bring that up. I couldn't hear the context. I'm on the bus.
Oh,
My bad.
I was just explaining that Manly P. Hall has clearly mastered those things. He's very persuasive, and so people need to be able
Oh,
to
gotcha.
apply discernment when listening to him. Yeah.
Especially
but
pathos. Pathos
go ahead.
and I was gonna say pathos. Pathos and logos are the ones you gotta watch out for, right? Because ethos is like, it's basically a field of credentials essentially. So I mean that's a hit or miss depending on
Well,
how
no,
well you know that person.
pause. That disagree, right? Like credentials can be valuable in establishing the credibility of a speaker, but it isn't like credibility isn't mutually exclusive with lack of credentials or whatever, right? Like, it's not. It's just like perceived credibility in general. It's moral character. It's integrity. It's trustworthiness
Right.
specifically. It's not like credentials, right? Like in like kind of like the mainstream world, it kind of is like that's all you get, right? As if they can be trusted if they have credentials. Like I mean, clearly a lot of people think like that, but that is not like the true proper application of the art of persuasion.
That's
So
interesting though. How do you trust someone who has a good ethos if you don't know them?
I'll give you
well,
an
you really
example.
can't.
Let's say you hop on a plane and there's a homeless guy smoking crack in the cockpit. You have a certain idea of how that guy is going to be as a pilot. Now, let's say you have a decorated war veteran with his medals on display as a pilot in the cockpit. Who do you trust more with driving that plane? So you don't know the person, you just see those. You see what I'm talking about?
See, I kind of get it. Yeah, interesting. And what I meant by pathos and logos is basically people who are very very passionate. Can tend to be very persuasive.
Well, this is how compelling the rhetoric of the person is. So if you read Aries Total's rhetoric, he goes over, that's actually the three triangles in the morning lobby. That's ethos, pathos, and logos.
Yep.
I didn't even know that. That's cool. Yeah,
I'm not
like
seeing you in the morning lobby. Are you still doing that, Gelly?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not seeing. I don't know why. Well, I guess this must have been busy in here, so I just come in here. But yeah, I'll pop in then if you're going to keep doing that. But the thing about Manly P. Hall, as I've said before, when you look at him as an elderly gentleman especially, I mean, I like to see people in the prime as well, and you can go listen to that, recommend that too. But if you go listen to him when he's a very old man, he's just got a piece of paper in front of him, which he barely ever looks at. He never looks at it, in fact, and he just speaks for 2 hours, and he's just ladling gravy, right? He's in that space. Sure. He's just completely in that it's almost like timeless, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like, I've noticed Owen Benjamin, he's trying to sort of get into that flow state as well. A bit like I think of that with Harry Mike, the rapper. He kind of does that. He gets into that flow state. You watch Manly P. Hall, and he's just ladling, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude is on fire, and he's like 80, right? You're like, holy crap! If I could be even close to this guy at his age, well, that's something.
All right, you said ladling gravy. You got to give me something that stands like. Give me one thing that you learned from him that just sticks out like a sore thumb. Go.
Well, this I like, but it'll take a while. Yeah, I kind of like to read this if that's okay, but I don't want to take over the room.
No, go ahead. Go.
Well, it's about the sort of different magicians. It sounds really weird, but I kind of like it. So the black magician's motto is "Might is right," and then in brackets it says "Survival of the fittest." That's kind of interesting right off the bat, isn't it? The black magician's motto is "Might is right, survival of the fittest." Well, what's the ethos? What's the whole Darwin thing if it's not that, right? So that's interesting straight away. The white magician's motto is right is might, survival of all. Grey magic is the unconscious or subconscious perversion of power. Yellow magic is the failure to learn how to prevent the perversion of power. Black magic is the use of spiritual powers to gratify animal or selfish proclivities. White magic is the right use of spiritual power, consciously and objectively. Every living person is in one of these four classes. It is important that each should analyze himself and see just which class he is in. There is nothing in all the universe so subtle as powers of false darkness. We must go over our lives every day, for we never reach a place of safety.
Green Lantern.
The more power we have, the greater light we have. The stronger the temptation to abuse it or to use it for self-gratification. We must learn to realize that the greater the knowledge, the greater the penalty for abusing it. The sin that is excusable in the child is unforgivable in a man. Motive is the key to the problem of magic. Even the greatest white magician can become degenerate in an instant if his motive becomes unworthy. The white magician serves humanity. The black magician seeks to serve himself.
It's interesting. What was yellow magic again?
What do you mean?
I put the book back now. I'll put it in a thing. Damn it.
What was that?
Somebody's got sound effects.
That was me.
It was the failure to stop the perversion.
I think
a failure to stop the perversion. Yellow magic. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, sounds racist. No, but in all seriousness, you've never
Black,
thought
white,
about
and
it.
yellow.
The thing is, you've never even, like me, I don't know about that kind of stuff, but you know what I mean? It's like, I constantly hear people I remember we went over Omni's server, we had this whole debate about magic, and PhD Tony's mocking everyone. My first statement out of my mouth was, I absolutely believe in magic. Of course I believe in magic. I believe in God. Go look at the definition of magic, by the way. But in terms of, because it talks about supernatural, so, but anyway, but in terms of power of influence, oh my God. Yeah, that is everywhere. I mean, look at the power of this control arm that we, whatever it is, the way they can just incite, they can control the masses, the pitchfork masses, the look at COVID as the perfect example of people just wandering around, masking themselves up. And an interesting aspect of that too, Beast, is music, I think, as well. The power of influence of music, don't you think? Because it's a frequency. It can change someone's emotion, right?
You just
Without
had
even touching them.
Yeah, Andy, it just made me think of like somebody could sit there like you're at a party and they're like talking to somebody about I'm immune to mind control, and then the song comes on and they're like, "This is my song,"
This is my jam.
It's like, yeah, man.
It is pretty funny.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
Not that it's wrong though, It's like there's good magic too, right?
Well, there's mantras, right? Mantras. Essentially, that's what a chorus of a song is. It's just a mantra. Oh.
Yeah, that's like last like I did that tune. I'm not spinning. I don't know if you ever heard it, but yeah, I'm not spinning. I'm not spinning. I'm not spinning. It's just over and over. It's like,
No, I never heard that one. My favorite
Where's
one for you,
that at?
Isa.
put it in the chat. Hold up.
Yeah, my favorite one
Send
for
it
you,
to me.
Isa, is welcome to the show where you don't know you're part of the show.
Yeah,
I like
if
that
you don't
one.
know, dude. I think I was so ahead of the shit though, man. Think about that. Like, what is that? I always loved the second verse. Intoxicated hate makes you believe you're spinning in space. Ah.
That was great.
Alexa off.
Yeah, let me grab down that spinning, man. Yeah, now you get this one. What's up? Thank you. Thank you very much, actually. I fucking love you guys for supporting that shit. Shit's on like 20,000 something views right now. It's like, I want that song to be like, you ever heard of Cody Jenkins? Probably not. He's like a country artist. But like, I fell in love with this dude's music and he seemed to blow up about 10 years after his music was put out. Like after the album was put out, these songs started to make it. So, I'm asking all y'all, make that shit happen for Welcome to the Show, Like, I feel like, because you know what I also feel like too is right now is very interesting because Nick Fuentes was just on Tucker Carlson, and after Nick Fuentes is Flat Earth. You know what I mean? They couldn't kill fucking Fuentes. The final experiment's going to be a joke, and Flat Earth is going to be next. And Witsit, I'm fucking betting on you, my man.
Yeah.
Fucking right, dude. You're the best rep. Fucking right.
How much that, brother?
Yeah, man. Like, and you use any of my music. Fuck, please use my fucking music. Put that shit on the motherfucking map. Use it if you need it. Fucking, go on home, Angry Glober. I don't know if you know that tune. Go on home, Angry Glober, go on home. Ain't you got no fucking home of your own? It's the old Irish, because it's a British soldier. I don't know if you guys ever know that tune, but big tune. Rebel music, man.
I got you, bro.
You don't know. You don't know. Yeah, that's tight.
Like, I like that. Didn't they teach you to reach for the stars while keeping you chained down with mortgages and cars, vaccines for your arms? You know,
Yeah, that's good.
fucking dickheads. Yeah, dude,
That's
I'm
fine.
really feeling that.
There we go. I posted it for everybody. It is a good one, dude.
Thanks, man. Hold on, let me get. Oh yeah, I was looking for. I'm not spinning because that's the mantra one. It's cool too. Yo, the I'm
That's
not spinning. The I'm not spinning one was the one Eddie Bravo's clique was running in their jujitsu videos, which was cool as fuck.
nice.
You know, when I first got introduced to that song, that's what New Perspective put me on, right? And for the longest time, I thought you were Hawaiian, bro. I don't know. I just pictured you as like Hawaiian in my mind's eye.
I'm not spitting, 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 I said don't, I said don't shoot the messenger, 'cause you can't handle the truth. Oh, don't be mad at the one that brings it to you. You look like a fool. You look like a fool. Oh, you better hit the books, baby, before you come and chat with me. 'Cause otherwise you might be a little angry, 'cause you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know what you believe. I said you don't know, you don't know, you don't know what you were even taught to believe. I said so don't shoot the messenger. I said don't shoot the messenger. I said don't shoot the messenger. Oh, 'cause you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. 'Cause you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. Watch them resort to the ages whenever they learn whatever you're talking about. 'Cause when they're faced with a little change, they can handle anything. And they probably need their medication, 'cause most people are on medication. 'Cause reality goes against their indoctrination. Oh yeah, that's why we gotta take a look at our nation, baby. 'Cause I said you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, no, no.
the circumference of the earth. Oh, you don't know, you don't know. Better get your manners correct, man. Oh yeah, you don't know. When it's apparent, then you always show. Cause you act like you should go somewhere where we don't know. And just, you don't know, you should go, you should go. Said you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. Don't shoot the messenger.
I'm not spitting, 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 I'm not spitting.
And I climbed up to myself. I couldn't ask nobody for help. With the Bible in my hand, and a trick I just couldn't understand. And here you knocking on my door. Said, baby, please don't knock no more. Cause I'm so tired of being on my own. And I don't feel like coming down home. Said, I don't feel like coming down home. I don't feel like coming down home. Said, I don't feel like coming down home from this place I found. No, no. I don't feel like coming down home. I don't feel like coming down home just so you can feel like you belong around. Said I don't feel like coming down from this place I found. No, no. Said I don't feel like coming down. I don't feel like coming down. I don't feel like coming down from this place I found. No, no.
you got no fucking home of your own. For 400 years we'll fight you without fears. We'll fight you for 400 more. If you stay, Angry Grover, if you stay, you will never be flat earth with what you say. So go on a ferry, the curve it has been buried, and piss off and leave us while you may. Go on home, Angry Grover, go on home. What the fuck's Van Allen belts if not a dome? For 400 years we'll fight you without fears, and we'll fight you for 400 more. And if you rage, Angry Grover, if you rage, don't you know that most of us have been on planes? So if you think it's funny that Einstein was a dummy, I'll show you the moon landing was staged. Go on home, Angry Grover, go on home. Ain't you got no fucking home of your own? For 400 years we'll fight you without fears, and we'll fight you for 400 more.
Part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, it's part of the show. Didn't they teach you to reach for the stars while opening up the bars and keeping you chained down with mortgage bills and cars? Vaccines for your arms, kids sounding like supercharged, caffeinated hate-filled scars and rage-quit repertoires. No answers for yards, caught up in emotion that's not even yours. Imposter truths like impeccable retards, lined up for your serving of gish galloping wars. No remedy can't save the lost, in love with the yarn. I'm tired of walking into refracted shards, poor science displayed by disgusting bards. Soaked in sin with your dupe is delight in a new hand of cards. Been so long, seems like for love I'm just too hard, I'm just too hard, that's it. Welcome to the show, where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, you don't know. Intoxicated 8 makes you believe you're spinning in space, why you have no shame or grace. It's a disdainful state I used to contemplate, how to save myself from my own self-hate. Wonder why I was even made with a dreadful fate, forced to try and awake with a full plate, no one to help me stay awake or educate. I've had to liberate and fight through hidden gates, but my brother, heaven could never be late, and rockets don't work in space. It's all fake, the show is on Mars, it's a joke, but you're too far gone, it won't be long. Fepe's beak is strong. We have our song and we march along like streams of knowledge leading to God's holy pond, and lives of truth that hits the bong and sings the song, turns mankind from the wrong. We come in peace with a holy gown, and all of us wearing our holy crowns. Said the earth is flat and we probably just won't get along. Just to go along, I said, welcome to the show, where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, you don't know.